Hi, welcome to my channel, Mostly Knitting. I'm Tash, and if you're new here, this is a weekly podcast where I talk mostly about the knitting that I've been doing during the week, and I usually try and put up a knitting tutorial somewhere in between podcasts, just of something that I happen to have learnt or things that people have asked about. So it is Wednesday, the 2nd of August, 2023, and I'm recording from Sydney, Australia. Right, so I'm going to get straight into it. Finished objects, I don't have any this week, but I do have a new WIP, and that is the Anna T by Sara Stark, and I'm using Drover and Classer, which is, I think it's called Bellevue Park 5-ply, and that is a yarn that I purchased. It's this lovely pink colour. That's all that I've got left of the first skein. I only have 2 skeins. And it's a short sleeve top, and I think this colourway is called Vintage Rose. So it's a really unusual construction. You start from the top and you do a German twisted cast on, and I'm not really sure why particularly she wanted you to do that, but I thought, well, the pattern specified it, so I will. And I know I've done it before. I followed the link. It's not one that sort of I automatically have memorized, but as I watched the video, I was like, yeah, I've definitely done this before. So it was pretty straightforward, didn't take too long, like a little bit longer than the long tail cast on, but not massively longer. And so the way that this pattern's constructed is you actually have a really large number of sleeve stitches to start with, and you do sort of like a saddle shoulder, and then you do these increases just along the front and back every row, and then for a while just along the sleeves every row, and then back a little bit again on the front and back, and then I've joined in the round and I'm about 2 inches down. Now I've actually picked up stitches around the neckline and done the neckline now because I was a little bit uncertain about some of this puckering that was happening here, and so I thought, look, I'm going to do the neckline and do a couple of inches under the body, and then I'm going to block it and make sure I'm happy with how it's going. Sorry, you can hear my dog wandering around the house. Yeah, and actually the pickup was kind of, and the ribbing was kind of interesting too. You had to pick up with a 2mm needle and then knit the ribbing with a 3mm needle, and it's a full twisted rib, so you twist the knits and twist the pearls. And then there's a stretchy bind off, which is not Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. It's one where you kind of, you know, knit a couple and then you put them, you know, knit them together and then put them back on the left needle, and then knit them together, put them back on the left needle, but you're sort of knitting and purling, so you're keeping in with the rib. Anyway, so that was, I just followed the pattern. That all seems to be fine. I will just try it on for you quickly. I've put it on two needles, front and back. So this is a 3.75mm needle. Right, so this is a new cast on for me. I can't remember when I cast it on, but you can probably see there's a little bit of puckering here. So I haven't blocked this yet, but I am hoping, because you're actually increasing every row here, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that with some blocking and a little bit of stretching along there, that will work out. So when I've finished recording, this will go in a bath. You can see I'm having to pull on it, right? So I'm hoping that after I've blocked it, and I might even end up pinning it a little bit just to make sure that it dries like that, that it sits okay. But I really like that neckline. I think it's really pretty, the full twisted rib, and it's not too, you know, too loose or too tight. It feels pretty good. The fit feels good. Like, I'm happy. I followed the pattern exactly. Cast on, increases, everything exactly. The only thing that's a little bit different with mine is my row gauge is slightly off, so my rows are a little bit, I'm getting 36 rows for 4 inches instead of 32, so mine's a little compressed. Maybe that's got a little bit to do with this, I'm not sure, but we'll see. We will see. So I'll just show you on the back. You don't need to do any short rows because you have this sort of little bit before you join in the round. You actually sort of knit flat first. So you actually have this little bit here where it's the neckline is dropped a little bit, and then you join in the round. So you only really have to do the short rows if you start joining in the round right from the beginning, and then you have to lower the back. Whereas if you don't have it in the round to start with, you can work back and forth and make sure that there's more rows in the back. And you can work over the whole project, and then you join in the round. So it does the same job, but if you're not joining in the round, you don't need short rows, is what I'm saying. Right, so I keep pulling it because I can visually see it's bothering me, so please cross your fingers with me and I will report back. Oh, that's come undone. I better make sure that doesn't, I'll better tie that up before I, that's just my sleeve stitches on hold. Tie that up before I block it. And yeah, the pattern's really nice and really well written. I'm really happy with it. It has clickable links to the tutorials, and the yarn's really lovely as well. I'm a little anxious it might pill, you know, really hoping there's just like a little bit of subtle variation, so it's definitely hand dyed, but it's not pooling or anything, so it's just like a semi-solid with, you know, some bits that are slightly darker than others, but you know, I'm happy with it. So just this, so we'll see how that goes. Right, so that's my first work in progress, and it's my only, sort of my only new one. The other one that's kind of new, is, sorry about that, I really try to not have the clanking happening. The other one is, the other kind of new one is Exploration Station. So you might have seen that I put out a video, sorry, just have a little sip. I put out a video of the cast on, because it's the same kind of cast on that I used for dotted rays, and I really wasn't very happy. So I'm just looking for the, yes. So I did a swatch on a much heavier yarn and larger needle, and I really wanted that to be quite seamless at the beginning and to just look like that, you know, there's no interruption. And so that's it on my, so I've changed to the colors that pretty much replicate Stevens, and I'll show you, this is, that's the cast on there, and you know, this, it just looks like one continuous I-cord, which I'm really happy about. And obviously it continues on with all the other colors, but I just, for my dotted rays, because that has a very similar start, for my dotted, I just wanted to show you this, for my dotted rays, which I love. This is actually, I wear this a lot, but I followed Stephen's video for the cast on, and I ended up with, like, you can see there's a, where is it? Look, it's, honestly, this is right behind your neck, but still, or maybe it's not, this is probably on one of the ends. I've got one sort of bar coming over, so it's not seamless, and then it's a little bit rough there. Like, I just don't think that's nearly as nice as the one that I did. And I watched a few different people's videos, and I didn't love everything about all of them, so I thought, well, I'll do one that kind of gets the job done and hopefully is clear. You know, I don't really want to do a video if there was exactly one that was exactly right. I would just point you to that one. But the closest one that I found was Nitty Natty. I pretty much followed most of hers similar. Like, I tried a few different people's. I really liked the one that she did, and look, she might have taken hers from someone else, but I liked hers. The only thing is that when she picked up along the side, she only picked up one leg instead of two, and I do prefer picking up two. So, but that's, you know, that was really the only difference. And you know, I guess sometimes, you know, sometimes you just can follow, if people are used to my tutorials, maybe they like it better, or just find it something that they're more used to. So anyway, that's it on here, and obviously I haven't blocked it or anything, but you can see it just looks like one continuous line without any interruptions. So it just looks like one I-cord. Yeah, and so the I'm using the needles that the pattern suggests, which is a US 6 4mm, and Tosh Merino Light in the colorway Graphite is this one here. So it's also a dark one. I think El Greco or something like that was what Stephen used. This one's got a little bit more sort of green, like yellowy green undertones, but I think it actually goes really well. That's Neon Peach. This one's Antler, and then this is the yarn that I picked up from Bendigo, which was Swish yarns, and it was color 356, but I'm calling it Apricot. When I tried to add that on yarn on Ravelry, I couldn't find Swish yarns at all, so I don't know, they don't have a presence on Ravelry, or they don't have any of their yarns listed on Ravelry, which is a bit of a bummer, but that's all right. It's only one skein. Yeah, so I've just done whatever 5 wedges now, and I'm ready to get back onto the Apricot. And yeah, I think I'm gonna love this actually. And one thing that I did find in the beginning, I just wasn't quite on track when I first did these eyelets, maybe this first batch of eyelets, and I was one stitch off, and the eyelets are meant to be very specifically, you do the double yarn overs at the exact point where you do your turns, so that that's where you naturally create the holes. And I was one stitch off, so my holes were there, but they were really little. And I'd already sort of done, I don't know, I think I'd done all of this peach, this apricot color. And I was like, I know I messed that up back there, because it's very similar to dotted rays with the holes and everything and how the holes line up. Anyway, I was like, can I live with that? And I was like, you know what, that's all I've done so far. I can't live with that. If I'd done the whole shawl, I would have lived with it. But, I'm only here, so I did rip back and redid it so that the eyelets are proper now. And yeah, really happy with how that's coming along, and I'm definitely going to enjoy both knitting on it and the finished object. So that's my second new-ish, because I've sort of started it that many different times, but I'll still call it a new WIP, because it's like I had to start it from scratch, so that counts as new, I guess. Let me see, just continuing on with my works in progress. So I've got 2 so far, the Ranunculus. So again, I really do try as much as possible wherever I'm up to, like to have it sort of on somewhere where I can try it on. So this is Berroco Remix in the colorway Eggplant, and I have finished both sleeves and I've blocked it. So this is where I've gotten up to, and at the moment this one's measuring 42 inches. My other ones, the lace weight ones, were this is 10 inches of positive ease. My lace weight ones, like lace weight held double, were 40 inches, so they were 8 inches of positive ease. So not much less than this, but they felt less because the fabric itself was so lightweight. So this is only one strand of, I guess you'd call it like an Aran weight yarn, and I'm using the recommended needles, the 6mm needles. Yeah, so I'm happy with how it's going. I reckon I'm not far off. So that's my belly button there. So where it hits is right on my belly button. I reckon I'm not far off doing the ribbing. I've got this, and this is what I've got left. So I've got plenty left. Yeah, and I reckon I'll wear it. I'll probably wear it with something like this, with like a white tank underneath it, so that or nude, and maybe with something like this, like with black jeans or blue, so yeah. And it's actually a really nice, soft, squishy yarn. Oh, sorry, I'm a bit all caught up. Oh dear. Okay, let me get it off. I think it's caught around my foot. Okay, I can do this. Right, so that's Ranunculus by Midori Hiroshi. Oh dear, Natasha. Oh my goodness. Okay, hang on. It's around my Ugg boot. There we go. Okay, because it is still winter here. I might cut that out. We'll see how we go. Right, so that's 3. Number 4 is the Cumulus tee. And I actually put a marker in from last time, which I don't often do. So I actually did a bit of knitting on this. I'll pop it on. Right, so this is the Cumulus tee by PetiteKnit. I'm using Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, which is the recommended yarn. I'm using the recommended needle size, which is 3mm needles. I did find that my gauge swatch was 27 inches, and yet when I've blocked this on the needles, it's come out to like 24. So it's definitely bigger than I was anticipating, which I've talked about a bit in previous episodes, but what's going on here? Okay. But yes, I'm happy with how it's looking now, and I think it's actually going to be fine. And as long as I actually work on it, I will wear it when it's finished. So that's all I've got left of ball number 2, and I do have 4 balls, so I should, I've definitely got plenty. And And I am going to make the sleeves to elbow length. I think they actually look really quite, yeah, it looks quite refined actually, like that. And what else was I going to say? So that's my marker there. That's how much I've done since last week, which is a bit, especially because the gauge is quite, even though it's turned out stretched out to 24 stitches, it's still about 40 rows for 4 inches. So 10 rows per inch, that's going to take a bit of a while to make progress. And I also don't knit quite as quickly with silk. Like my, you know, the needles, the stitches sort of move much faster for me with wool than with like linen or silk or cotton or whatever. But yeah, it's coming along really nicely. Oh, I fixed up these little, you know, it was sort of gaping a little bit. This is why I've got this strand of yarn here. I just took a little bit of extra yarn and did a couple of duplicate stitches along here to, that was sort of the worst offenders, those couple of spots there. There's tiny little dots along the side there, but I don't know that I really feel the need to close those in, but I've got a bit of yarn sort of on the side. If I really want to, I can pick that up there. But yeah, I'm happy with that. So that's WIP number 4. WIP number 5, I don't know where I've put it. It's my Musselburgh. I'll just go grab it. Right, I found it. So WIP number 5 is the Musselburgh, and I didn't put a marker in, but maybe I should, because I've had so many stockinette projects. I haven't really been doing that much on the Musselburgh because I've had other, like, you know, sort of switched my mind off knitting. So this hasn't had much progress, but I'll just mention it. So it's my 16th Musselburgh. It is on a 3.25mm. That's by Ysolda Teague. It's I'm making it out of fingering weight, but it is a hat that you can use any kind of weight yarn. I'm using a 3.25mm needle. I've got 136 stitches on the needles, and I'm using this Hedgehog Fibers Skinny Singles, which is, I think, really pretty. That's going to be a great hat when I finish it. So, but yeah, I have absolutely no set plans for when I finish my Musselburghs, just whenever they get done. Right, and I think my last work in progress, where am I up to? 6 now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not too bad for me. Is these mitts for Mia, and I think I've done 1 row. So yes, still not very much. Yeah, hopefully we'll do a little bit more of that this week. Right, so that's it for my works in progress. I will take this off and I'll put my faux from the vault on again. Right, so this is my faux from the vault. I'll stand up so you can see it. It's kind of almost like a bomber jacket, batwing sort of style. It's called the Cruiser Cardigan, and it's by Kristen Finlay, who is the dye behind Skein yarns, and she's here in Australia. She just lives in Coffs Harbour, which is maybe about a 6-hour drive north of Sydney. And so this yarn here, I'll put a picture up of the 2 yarns because they've, somebody else had, I'm not very good at imagining what like, you know, a mohair held with another yarn underneath it will look like. And, but I saw someone else put these 2 together and their swatch looked so gorgeous. So this is, and I would never have put these 2 together on my own. So what is it? This is Pure Gold is the mohair, and the fingering weight. So this is her mohair, Skein mohair silk lace in Pure Gold, and Skein Uptown sock, which is a 4-ply single yarn in French lavender. So yeah, so she put out this pattern, and I just thought it was really, really cool. I really like it. It doesn't have any kind of, and it was a really fun knit as well. I actually really enjoyed knitting it. It was like a great sort of construction and really interesting with short rows and things, and yeah, and it's really nice and cozy and warm. It doesn't have any kind of fastenings, and so I tend to wear it. I don't wear it a lot out. Probably doesn't go with a lot of things that I have. Like I don't have a lot in this sort of color, but yeah, I really do like it, and it's really lovely and warm. So actually this, she did like a, what do you call it? Like a giveaway, and Beck won I think the pattern and the yarn, both the mohair silk and the Uptown sock as well. So I'm not sure if she's made it yet actually, but yeah, she won the giveaway, which made me so happy because at the time like she had just lost her job through COVID because she's a pilot, and it was just like, it was a really difficult time. So to have like this one really beautiful thing happen, I was so happy for her. Yeah, so I don't think I have much to say about the pattern except that I really enjoyed making it. I like wearing it. It was about 900 meters of each yarn, and yeah, it was a bit of a splurge because obviously two, you know, yarns held together relatively expensive, and it was just over 2 skeins of each, so I did have to eat into a 3rd skein of each. I haven't decided what to do with the leftovers, but maybe a hat. There's definitely enough for a hat, so probably not enough for a Musselburgh, but yeah, I'll have to have a look for the yarn and see what I'll make out of it. So yep, that's my cruiser cardigan. I'll just show you again, resting it from the back. Yeah, really lovely. Okay, so that's my faux from the vault. Purchases. The only purchase that I've made this week is the Anna T. So I bought the pattern, and obviously, and so that's the only, no extra yarn or any other patterns. What's caught my eye? So I think I was watching Wool and Vine, Kristen, I think. So she is making what's it called? The Alpine Bloom by Caitlin Hunter, and I have made a few Caitlin Hunter Boyland Knitworks, a few of her patterns before, and I really like. Some of her designs are a little bit too sort of enormous, like the arm size, massive. But yeah, I like a lot of hers actually. And the Ingles, which is one of my favorite of hers, that's her pattern. And it just looked so pretty. So it's a short sleeve top. Obviously you can make long sleeve if you wanted, but I liked how it looked. And it was using 1 skein, well actually it says 2 skeins of spin cycle, but I reckon I could probably squeeze it out of 1. And I have some spin cycle leftovers, so if it happened to match in with some of my leftovers, I could probably squeeze out, because spin cycle, you got like 5 or 6 different colors. So if I had something that would kind of match in. So I've got this Plucky Primo Sport yarn in my stash. I've got 2 skeins. I'll put a photo up of that. And I've been wondering what to do with it because it's, sort of like 500-ish meters. What am I going to make with that? Yeah, so although actually that Anna T is going to be about 500 meters. There you go, I didn't even think about that. But anyway, maybe it's not quite 500 meters, but because there's all this color work, you don't really need as much. So I thought maybe I'd use those 2, but I reckon that's a pretty plump sport. And the spin cycle yarn, even though it says it's sport, so I've got a tickle in my throat, so I need a quick drink. Even though it says it's sport, I reckon it's closer to a fingering. So you can push out to a sport, but anyway, I'm not sure about those 2 together, but we'll see. But that definitely caught my eye. But of course, then I went to my local yarn store, Skein Sisters, and had a look on their website, and they've got none of the spin cycle. Like they've got 1 random skein left of a color that wouldn't work. So I have to wait for them to get some in stock. But that's kind of percolating, so it's caught my eye. It's not yet a plan because I don't have the yarn for it, but it probably will be because I really like it. I think the neckline's really beautiful and delicate. Yep, so that's that one. I also want to make the camisole number 4 using the pink Knitting for Olive pure silk yarn that I have. I'll put a picture of that up there. I bought that when Beck and I did our little purchase a little while ago. So I've been tossing up between camisole number 4 or number 2, and I think I like the look of number 4 a little bit better, but I'm not going to start that until I finish the Cumulus tee. I don't want to start another Knitting for Olive pure silk project while I've already got one pretty big one on the needles, because the Cumulus still has a little bit more, quite a bit more of the body and a fair bit of the sleeves to go. So I won't start camisole number 4 until I've finished that. The other thing that I'm pretty keen to make, I'm tossing up between these 2. Camisole number 5, I saw, I think it's NE Knits. She did a camisole number 5 out of different color, but this Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino, she did it in a navy color, and it was really pretty. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll use that. I was a little bit unsure about this because the racer back style of it is very exaggerated, and I'd have to wear like a strapless bra. Anyway, I'm just not sure. I was a bit unsure about how wearable it was, but it seems to stretch out a fair bit. So I'm either going to make that one, but then I just watched, I've been watching a few podcasts lately. I watched those twins who knit their first episode, and one of the girls had on a pie camisole. and pie as in P-I, because the way the design looks, I'll put a picture up of the design, it looks like a pie, and like the symbol pi. And obviously being a math teacher, there's a bit of natural wanting to gravitate towards that. So I'm actually thinking I might make that instead. I mean, I'd like to do both, but I think that one I might do first out of this. And I think it'd be pretty in this color too. So yeah, I think that one might be on the, and that, I might even start that one soon actually. I'm pretty excited about that. I actually have quite a few plans sort of, they're all sort of bursting out at the moment. So I'm not sure which one's going to, which one will come to the front. The other thing I was thinking about was pink velvet. So I've skeined up this yarn. So this is the Biche Bush. I bought all of this at Bendigo. This is the Biche Bush Le Petit Lamb's Wool in this really nice grey colour. And then these are the two Ching fibres. I've wound this one because I was going to use this one, but then I also was like, oh, sorry about that. Also maybe, I'm still not 100% sure. I think this one's obviously, this one like makes me go, yes. And this one I'm like, oh, that could be nice. So maybe I should swatch. There's an idea. But yeah, I feel like this one just sort of says yes to me, whereas this one says maybe. So maybe I should go with a yes rather than maybe with a maybe. Anyway, but so Pink Velvet, I am by Andrea Mary. I would like to make that. So I've already skeined up the yarn, and I'll probably swatch, probably. I'll think about it. So that's Pink Velvet. I do want to make another mini mock neck tank with that pink. I'll grab it. Where is it? Sorry, rustling. This is my very hot pink Western Sky Knits Willow. This is a sport weight yarn, but I reckon it could work. So I think that'd be really nice in the mini mock neck tank. And I think if I make it again, I will make it again probably, but when I make it again, I'm going to, when I knit those edge stitches, really tighten up my tension a little bit. See if that helps with the sort of stretching out a little bit on the edges. So that's another, and that was really quick. That was a really quick knit. So I might make that one, you know, just as to what I'll cast on when. I'm pretty sure I will. Another possibility is the Kuta top by Sara Nordland. And, you know, I've seen people make it in a few different yarns. It seems to be like, I saw that Karen made it in Antigone and that looked really lovely. But I also have seen it in people making it in a lighter weight fingering, like the tin liner, the Sanders Garden tin liner. Now I don't have access to that. I'd have to order that from externally. So I did a little bit of, I also started thinking, oh, I want to buy this Sanders Garden liner and tin liner. And then I was like, Natasha, maybe you should take a look at some of your stash in the cotton, like the plant-based fibers that you already have, rather than just search for the new and shiny. Or so I did have a quick look in my stash and I found these two yarns. This is Rowan 4-ply cotton in like quite a nice denim-y blue color, and then this is, if you're Australian you'll recognize this as a classic, Peyton's Gem. I have heaps of my mum's old pattern books from Peyton's pattern books booklets with a lot using this yarn. And anyway, I quite like that color too, actually. It's a different pink to obviously that other, but it's still very bright. So either of those might be quite nice for the Kuta top. This one a little bit more elegant, actually, now I think about it. And because it's a 4-ply cotton, it's 50 grams, 170 meters. So, and then this one, I don't know, this one's probably pretty similar. Anyway, so I'm thinking about that as well. That obviously I can't cast on all of that this week. I already have 6 on the needles, but yeah, they're the things that I've been thinking about. Now you might also be wondering, what about my field sweater? Now I have to figure out, where did I put my swatch? 1 second. Right, found it. So I did a swatch and I wasn't getting gauge. Oh, wrong way around. I was getting 23 stitches instead of 20, which is substantial. But I figured I could make it work because the smallest pattern size is 37. And if this stretched out to 22, which I think it would, that would get me to 33.5 inches, which is still 1.5 inches of positive ease. So I'd be fine with that. So I put that to one side, and my row gauge was pretty much the same as the pattern, not far off. But then I thought, look, I'm just going to swatch those grains. And when I was doing them, I only just did like a few of them. Because you're doing a lot of like knit 3 together, and then when you do the big grains, it'll be knit 5 together. And I'm holding this yarn double. So that's like 6 strands of yarn. Even that was a pain. And then I'm like, okay, with the big grains, it's going to be 10 strands of yarn, and I've got to get, it was just not fun. So I thought, you know what, this is gorgeous. I absolutely love these two together. That is the Isia yarn Highland wool and the silk mohair that I got from Sunspun when I was down in Melbourne. I love, love, love this. I love this color. I think it's gorgeous. But I just don't think this, I don't think I'll enjoy. There's a fair bit of those grains in the yoke, and I thought, I'm just not going to have fun. And I want to have fun, right? So I noticed that there was a lady who used a yarn from my LYS. She used, I think it's called BC Garn Loch Lomond, and sort of a tweedy-ish kind of yarn. Looks really, really nice, and you only need 1 strand. And it sort of matched the pattern perfectly. So I thought, well, actually that's going to work well. I went to my LYS's website, that's Skein Sisters, and they've got some coming in. They've got some pre-orders coming in, some coming in on the 4th of August and some more colours coming in on the 11th. And I'm teaching there on the 12th. So I thought, all right, I'm going on the 12th, and like obviously something might have sold out by then, but even if there's at least some of the colours in there, then I can choose and like put in an order, and if they have it, great. If not, I'll order some. So it does mean that I won't be doing the field sweater for at least another couple of weeks until I go in teaching next. But I'm definitely going to make it. I've bought the pattern, I've swatched, I know I can live with doing these grains. It's not a lot of fun, but I can do it. But I just would really prefer to not do it with two yarns held together. So that is my recommendation for this pattern. Try and just get a single yarn that will work, because I don't think you'd enjoy doing this with holding 2 strands held together. So that's what's happening with the field sweater. I'll put up a picture of the colour that I'm thinking, which is actually not that far off this. It's kind of a salmony colour or a blue colour. So I'd love to hear what you think. Obviously field stuff like seems better in this kind of colour rather than blue, but I still think it'd be pretty either way. So yep, so that's kind of it for my plans. The knit along. So I'm running a knit along, just really basically so that I can see what you guys are making, and if you can put the hashtag mostly knitting YouTube Cal, put it down below. If you put a picture on Instagram and you tag it, then I'll get to see it. Although I have noticed, anyway, I'll tell you about that in a sec, but the people who I've had a look this week who've posted things, Sandra is making a PetiteKnit Cumulus tee, which looks really pretty colour, so I'll just pop that up there. Then Sharon is also making a field sweater, this really lovely blue. Sorry, because I'm recording on my phone, I've just got all of these like text messages popping up at the moment from my family. I should figure out how to silence that while I'm recording, because it's a little bit distracting. So I know none of it's urgent, but I'm just going to leave that for now. Yeah, so sorry, Sharon is making the field sweater. Adele has finished her scrapper cardi, so I'll put a picture up there. And Beck is making this gorgeous purple colour, cardigan number 4. Now, that's what I was a little bit unsure about, because when I was looking at all the hashtags, like, you search under the hashtag for Instagram, I couldn't see Beck's picture. But then when I went to her account, she had used the hashtag, but it's not popping up. So I don't know why that's happening. So it's possible that you might have used the hashtag, but I still haven't seen your project. So if that's the case and I haven't mentioned it, it means I haven't seen it. So if you could maybe send me a message on Ravelry. I'm Tash Balaz on Ravelry, Tash. Oh, I suppose I can always put it down below, can't I? Tashbalaz, Balaz. That's my Ballers, that's my maiden name. Anyway, so yes, so that will finish up on the 1st of September. I'd love to see what you're making, and it gives me a chance to see what you're, and also to then I can follow you on Instagram as well. Right, I thought this week I might actually do the hidden whips basket. I kind of did a little cheating there. I actually had a little look through for something that was easy to do, but I'll show you, because there are some things in here that I really have to think hard about, but this one is not a big one. So here's a pair of socks that have been made. I mean, even if I know it's little, but it's still an item out of the basket. So I'm definitely proud of myself if something gets removed from here. Right, so why is this in here? This is in here for a very small reason, actually. I think when I wove in those ends, I don't know what's happened. Something's happened, or it's caught on something, because it's just in that one little spot. And I do have enough of this yarn, so I really just, it hasn't got any, like this hasn't been moth-eaten or anything. There's no holes or anything in this one. I just think that's caught on something, or I don't know what's happened, but I just need to repair that one little bit. And I do have spare yarn. So I'm not really sure. These are the, I guess the colorways, but they probably didn't call it Burberry because there was probably some kind of copyright. Yeah, something, trademark, probably some kind of trademark thing on the name. But I'll put down below the name of the yarn dye. I really like these socks. I think they're really cool. So that won't take me too long. I've just got to fish out. I've got a whole bowl of all of my leftovers from my stripy sock yarn, so it will be in there. Actually, no, that one's all right, but yeah, it's just that one. Anyway, I need to get a little bit of that red yarn and repair that. So that's one item out of, well, it's out of the basket. It's not going back in the basket. I'll repair it, report back next week, and it will go in my sock drawer. Right, one other thing that I was going to mention with my plans was I wound this yarn, the Karoa fibers, that enormous 500 gram skein of yarn. And I was thinking maybe the field sweater, because the orange one wasn't working. But when I did a swatch, where is my swatch? Here it is. I couldn't even really measure the gauge. Like the stitch definition is so poor, so hard to tell. The yarn itself actually looks quite, like even the swatch itself looks quite matted. It looks like it's been in a sweater that's been worn for like 15 years and been through the wash 100 times. So if that's a look that I was going for, it would be all right, but it wasn't I think, I really wouldn't be able to see the grains properly. And I'm sort of actually struggling to imagine what sweater I would make out of it. So it's not especially rough, like it feels fine to the touch, but I just can't, like I was trying to imagine what sweater design would I be excited about that for? And I can't think of anything. So, and this is a lot of yarn. This is 500 grams of yarn. So it could just sort of sit in the stash for a bit, but I did think if I actually, because I just can't imagine a sweater and I feel like I'm not really loving it. I thought I might end up just making one of these felted bowls. So I've got these felted nesting bowls that where I've held yarn double and then chucked it in the wash to felt it. So, and like this is a bit floppy, but it's fine when it's full of leftover balls of yarn. So I'm thinking that's what I might make. And I'll just hold the yarn double or maybe even triple. So that's kind of, but I'm not in a rush for that. I've got plenty of other things to do at the moment. But that is sort of where I think that's going to end up. Right, where am I up to? So that was other craft. Right, none. I haven't done anything else. I've been quite busy knitting and working, and so no sewing or crocheting or anything this week. I was going to show you some crocheted finished objects, like faux from the vault, but I might do that next week because I've, I didn't have any finished objects for the week, so I thought I'll wear this one, and I guess that's a finished object too, so that's enough. And I'll show you the blankets that I've crocheted next week. I've got 4 big blankets, so I'll show that next week. Right, so that's it for the knitting content. Thanks for being here and watching. And I was going to do a knitting tutorial on the grains, but I think I'll wait until I've actually got the yarn and I'm knitting the sweater. So it'll be probably a couple of weeks before I do, at least a couple of weeks before I do a tutorial on the grains for the field sweater, but that will be upcoming. I've got a few other things that on my mind with that. I think I've got to do a wrap and turn to German short rows one. I might do that one next week. Right, so that's it for the knitting content. If you can do the whole like and subscribing thing, that would be really lovely. And I'll just do a quick rundown. It's been a pretty uneventful week, thankfully. I went for a bushwalk on Saturday with my friend Amy. I'll put up some pictures. It was a really lovely bushwalk. It was a little bit, we were kind of nice, close to the highway in the beginning, and then we sort of veered off, but neither of us kind of knew where we were going, but the GPS worked, and we saw a lot of people. It's actually mostly a bike, like mountain bikes. And there were these two guys, I'll put a picture up here because I sort of, as they were riding off, I took a quick photo. They were riding unicycles. Like, I couldn't even ride a unicycle on a flat path, let alone mountain bike riding with a unicycle. Anyway, two of them were doing that, so that was nuts. Yeah, so that was a lovely walk. It was beautiful weather on Saturday. I went to church on Sunday with my mum, and what else? Just back working, just doing all the admin, the insurance stuff for the car for Alex now, and we're looking into getting her another car, or getting another kid's car. That we've had a car that sort of travelled down the kids, but she's a bit antsy about driving, and I don't blame her. So we're not in a big rush on that. So yeah, and it's only Wednesday today. I'm recording sort of a day earlier because this is my day off. I have a fortnightly timetable, so this is my day off this week, and I've got a lot on tomorrow. And I've got a meeting after school, so I'll probably just upload this one for Friday morning as usual. But yeah, so it was a bit less time, so it hasn't been that much happening. What else is happening? Last night Zach left for a ski trip. I actually have to say I was a bit nervous. I'm not normally a nervous mum, but after Alex's accident, and they were driving overnight in a bus. So anyway, they've arrived and they're all fine. But I just was having these visions of the bus crashing, and or him skiing and hitting a tree or something. Anyway, I know it's illogical, but just I'm a little bit more fearful after Alex's accident. But I'm at least aware of it, and I'm trying to sort of not pass that on to him or to anyone else, and just talk myself down a bit. Yeah, anyway, so they actually drove overnight. It's like 120 kids from his school, his year in school, have gone. So I think it'll be a great time. He gets back like 10 o'clock Friday night. So yeah, I've got to go pick him up then, and I'm sure he'll be exhausted. So he's off at the moment. I might do like a dinner out with my husband one night this week. Just, something a bit fun with less kids around. Alex is busy with her new job, and Mia's started back at uni, and I'm back at work. So everything's kind of like just another term. My students have started their trials this week. They actually had an exam today, and they've got one on Friday. So I'll have quite a lot of marking coming up. So not sure how much time I'll have for knitting, but I always try to squeeze a little bit in here and there. Yeah, anyway, I think that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.